Raven Evangelist Unedited. Okay, here's the flow, guys. I just did 2 on faith without works is dead. But now check this. Once you get over this, like I'm telling you, these are the elementary principles. I said this in the last video, right? When I was talking about faith without works is dead, I ended up getting into this because we're supposed to move on to perfection. Like, these are the elementary principles of the faith that it says to move on from it. Move on to perfection and don't go back to the laying on of hands and the turning from your dead works. It says to move on from that. We're supposed to turn from our dead works. That's what repentance is, by the way. It's changing your mind and believing on the one who can save you instead of trusting in whatever you're trusting in to save yourself. Be it another God, another false Jesus, another false Christ, false gospel, anything else, yourself, believing in no God, whatever it is, you're ultimately believing in yourself if you don't believe in Jesus. That's what you've been deceived into, and Satan has used another God, be it another God or another false gospel or another false Christ, right? So you're supposed to move on to perfection, it says. It says to move on, and what it tells you to move on to from is the elementary principles of the doctrines of Christ, and it says a faith toward God. So, like, man, it's saying, like, that's where it starts, is by faith, and now it's saying once you understand that, let us move on to perfection now. Well, what does that mean? Well, I wonder what it means. Jesus tells you to be perfect. I've said it in the last 450 videos. You can't be perfect. He tells you to be holy. You can't be holy. This is how you be perfect. This is how you be holy. This is how you go and sin no more. This is how you be obedient, be an overcomer, keep the commandments, keep the law. This is how you love people. This is how you forgive. This is how you boldly come into the throne of grace in full assurance of faith. It's all by faith. It's all by belief. You're supposed to move on to a perfection because he's calling you to a perfection that you can't keep. And once you believe the elementary principles, he's telling you now to move on from that. It's amazing, eh? He's saying this is where the meat is, but look at how, man, there's so much even in just the elementary principles. Go check my last 400 videos about how all these scriptures are tied into faith and belief that we would get born again and saved, and that's what God's will is, and that's his doctrine, and that's his fruit, and that's how the cup is made clean and the tree's made good and cannot produce bad fruit, and the person born of God cannot sin just because the Spirit is in him. It's talking about the Spirit does not sin, not the flesh. That's what it's saying. The person born of God, the person born again, in God's eyes, perfect, holy, cannot sin. There's only one way. Jesus did it. Believe on him. He gives you his righteousness. That's why it's a righteousness that has to come by faith. There's a perfection to move on to. Jesus is saying, the Bible's saying, Hebrews is saying, Paul, whoever wrote Hebrews, move on to perfection now. But will they? You know, they're still hung up on faith without works is dead. Move on to perfection and believe on Jesus.